While she joined us on Wednesday for a whole 2 hours, today we only have her for 10 minutes, but she's with us again. The one, the only Xen Sams, model, actress, super mom. And Xen, there's a lot going on, but you have uncovered this Hasbro situation where apparently these dolls may be perceived as inappropriate for kids. What's happening with this?
Yeah, well, for those of you who are not familiar, toy maker Hasbro is the maker of Transformers, G.I. Joe, Monopoly, and owner of the beloved children's toys and games. They're finally pulling the Trolls dolls due to a censor placement that may have been perceived as inappropriate. So that basically the doll was pulled over complaints that it promotes child abuse. And now they're pulling the Poppy doll from shelves after Change.org petitioned an alleged petition that the placement of one of its features could have long-term effects on a child's mental and physical health. Now, in the petition, Supermom Jessica McManus wrote that the DreamWorks Troll World Tool Giggle and Sing Poppy doll, which gasps and giggles upon activation of a sensor between basically the toy's legs underneath the skirt, as shown in the video. Nico, do we have a video?
Yes, we do. 1 second.
All right. We have a video. We may have a video.
Well, I was showing her to my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy, and she's going to sing for a minute. But down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds. Boop. Oh. Like a gasping sound.
Okay, so basically what happened was that this video, a mom, Jessica McManus, tweeted that this needs to be removed from our stores because basically society is conditioning our children to think that pedophilia is okay. And what will this toy make our innocent children think? That it's fun when someone touches your private area, that pedophilia and child molestation are okay? And Hasbro basically for Giggle and Sing, and that they're going to be offering customers a replacement doll of the female character, and the doll has been designed to really, giggle when placed in a sitting position, but some parents complain that the sound activation button is inappropriately placed, and I, as a mom, seeing that now, having looked at it a little bit deeper, I hadn't really realized this, was under the doll's skirt and under her legs. It is a little bit alarming. Hasbro is a huge company. This cannot, the makers of Hasbro, these people are in charge of making the best toys in the world. And this went under the radar when you have a world of disgusting people like the Epsteins of the world who are trafficking young girls. And then this, our toy makers, this is what's happening. So as a mom, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't realize that this was where it was placed. So good for you, Jessica McManus, for calling them out, starting the petition, and now it's been a thing, and they're recalling the toy, and we're putting light on a very sensitive issue.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now, you mentioned Epstein there, and I know me and you have been covering the Cyrus Vance corrupted office of DA here in New York. Just, they're trying to get Donald Trump's records from 10 years ago. We've gone over many things like Diana Florence. She resigned from the office and said that she doesn't believe that office is committed to justice for all. There's two tiers of people, the rich, wealthy donors like Epstein and Weinstein and Dr. Haddon, who even Andrew Yang's wife alleged this doctor from Columbia University had raped and sexual assaulted her and 19 other women. And those big donors, he doesn't go after them. But people like Donald Trump, he spends money and time, and he has this construction rackets bureau that brings cases against people they know they can't win. All they do is waste money in this office and bring what appears to me are, they're settling scores and grudges more than they're actually trying to find justice for all.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump, we were just talking about it on Wednesday's segment on Women Wednesday. they are, she has the affinity that she has is human trafficking. So it's hard for me to believe that as a father and as a husband and as the president of the United States of America, that he would turn a blind eye to this. Unlike, and let me remind you, a mom meant of Xen, since Cy Vance Jr. wants to go back a decade and snoop around into President Trump's personal tax returns and corporate. I'm going to go and snoop into Cyrus Vance Jr. Now, Epstein plea deal, let's remind everybody, Jeffrey Epstein, human trafficker, child molester. Whether he took his own life or not, I don't believe it, but go with God. Karmically, he was paid back. And the Epstein plea deal now casts light on Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance's role. And as a mom, it is my job and it is my duty to make sure that the people that hear me speak, whether it's on Wednesday or Friday, are fully informed accurately of what is going on. Now, this district attorney of ours, Cyrus Vance Jr., who wants to take human trafficking off the street and wants to take the bad guys and put them behind bars, no, not so much. Guess what? Cyrus Vance Jr. was among a growing group of federal prosecutors nationwide who came under scrutiny in the wake of the charges of the conspiracy and sex trafficking against Jeffrey Epstein. And when Epstein was required to register as a sex offender in Miami in 2008 as part of a non-prosecution plea deal that resulted in an 18-month sentence, which, by the way, he served just 13 months for solicitation of a prostitution involving one underage victim. Just 3 years after that plea, a sex crime prosecutor assistant named DA Jennifer Gaffney, under Cyrus Vance Jr., pleaded with a federal judge to allow Epstein to downgrade his registered sex offender status from level 3 to the lowest possible classification, level 1, despite an assessment by a Florida board. Now, as a mom, this is disgusting.
Yeah, hey, Xen, listen to this. I was on American Agenda on Newsmax this morning, and we were talking about Cyrus Vance and this stuff. And, when you were on a little while back, you were talking about how Diana Florence and the Construction Rackets Bureau were bragging about how they brought in $4 million in forfeitures. It's come to my attention that those cases were overturned, and now the office has to pay out like $8 or $9 million. So the one thing that they were hanging their hat on, they actually owe money out. So they spend millions of dollars going after contractors. I personally think that they unfairly target Italians in the construction business, and they just assume everybody has to be mobbed up because they have a vowel at the end of their name. But this whole Construction Rackets Bureau supposedly brought in all this money. Now they owe it back on top of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's corruption after corruption, whether it's the construction case, whether it's even this pedophilia case. I mean, Vance's argument was so duplicitous that it even shook Justice Ruth Pickholes, who ruled against the assertion at the time and about the sex offender from 1 to 3, and we're going back on that. And all of this stuff infuriates me as a mom. She said, I have to tell you, I'm a little overwhelmed because I've never seen a prosecutor's office do anything like this. And Vance's office later backpedaled on its stance, which was in favor of Epstein, and filed a change of heart brief agreeing that he should be registered as a level 3 sex offender, citing that there was a misunderstanding. It was a combination of mistaken interpretation of the governing legal standards of a certain secondhand information about the Florida case. But it was all BS. And so, again, why did the DA's office ignore a confidential state assessment that deemed Epstein to be highly dangerous, which lawyers from Mr. Epstein approached the office to have this offender status reduced, and Cy Vance Jr. did that.
Yeah, why? Well, you're asking why. When you ask why, it's not a hard question, because Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of dough, and he probably got a bunch of his associates to funnel a lot of campaign contributions into the corruption of Cyrus Vance. So he sticks up for people who pad his pockets and goes after people who are working hard and trying to make a living. So it's getting scarier by the minute. And now you start to think, why would he actually sit there and defend a pedophile? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
This is the man in charge of my safety.
Yep.
And the bottom line is that Cy Vance Jr. doles out favors for reciprocity.
No doubt.
And I'm going to remind you,
all right,
in my moment of zen, that Vance refused to prosecute Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein after Amber Gutierrez wore the wiretap and caught Harvey Weinstein on tape. Vance turned a blind eye.
Zen, we got to run. Thank you so much. You are the bomb. We'll see you next week. We'll see you guys in just 1 minute. Right after this, Barry Goldstein's going to crack you up.